This demonstration is how to flat pattern cut a collar stand, traditional collar stand and collar. So again you can see this line here, which is the centre front. So you would make your pattern accordingly, and don't forget that the buttons sit on that centre front line, and likewise centre front line on your collar stand. So you'd already made your pattern and put on a button extension, appropriate button extension depending on the size of your button, and you'd have made the main body part of your garment. And then you want to put on a traditional collar stand and collar. So because these are small pattern pieces, well, they're sort of long and thin, so you've got a collar stand that's going to look like this, and a collar pattern piece that's roughly going to look like that. I'm going to fold my paper in half. And this folded edge is the centre back. And to start off, I'm going to give myself a straight line at right angles to the folded edge. Right angles here. This is the centre back, CB. So I'm going to take the block for my measurements. So let's say I've made a shirt from this bodice block, and I know that the back neck measurement, this is the centre back, this is the shoulder, is 8.8 centimetres. This is the front piece, that's the shoulder, that's the centre front, and I know that that neck shape there measures 11 centimetres because I've measured it with my tape measure. So we're going to make a collar stand pattern. So from the centre back to the shoulder point is 8.8. So I mark off 8.8, and that's taken me to the shoulder. Just going to write shoulder there. Then I continued round to the centre front, and I've measured that on my block, and I know it's 11. So whenever I take measurements, you're taking the measurements of the stitch line, where you stitch. I call that the net line. So this is the length of my collar stand. Now because we're going around the neck, we don't want the collar stand to be an absolute straight piece. It curves slightly because it's going into the neck. And a way to make this curve simply is I lift this centre front point 1.5. If you want a deeper curve, you lift it a little bit higher. So this is my centre front point. I measured it here, 11 centimetres, but all I've done is lift it 1.5. And now instead of being a straight line here, I'm going to graduate that down to join the shoulder point. And you can see we've got a curved line going on. And this one actually is not needed anymore. I then want to right angle off on my new curved line, the centre front. That's my centre front line. Now we're going to draw the width of the collar stand. Again, that's entirely personal choice. I'm going to do a collar stand pretty traditional, 2.5. So using my set square, I can mark 2.5. Here's my collar stand. Now, that's only taken me to the centre front line. So I've got to add on the button extension. So it's the same amount to the button extension, which was 1.5. Now that's going to fit my neck. Traditional shirts are very often curved here. They don't have to be, you can keep it square, you can angle it off, whatever you like. But I'm going to curve mine, keeping it traditional. I'm just going to get rid of that line. It's no good, don't need it anymore. There we go. Now, this is what I call net. There's no seam allowances on this at all. I've been working to finished measurements. So now I've got my net collar stand, but I want to add on seam allowances. So using my set square, I add on centimetre seam allowance, making sure this is right angles and this is right angles. Tricky going around a tight curve, but it can be done. Notches. An important notch is that shoulder seam. So as we're putting on our collar stand, we can line up the collar stand with the shoulder seam. Other important notches are often the centres. So centre back and centre front very often are notched, always actually. And one last notch is where the collar goes. This is where the collar comes to. There you have your collar stand pattern piece. I'm just going to put on the grain line. Or you can let the grain line go down, entirely up to you, depending on your fabric. And there's your collar stand.